When Huang Wenxiu arrived in Baini Village, it was among the poorest in the country. Tucked deep in the mountains of Baise City in Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region in southern China, the village had long been isolated by rugged terrain. For many families, poverty was a daily reality. This was a time when China was intensifying its efforts to alleviate poverty. Thousands of young officials headed to the front lines in some of the country's most remote communities, and Huang was one of them. In March 2018, she volunteered to help lift Baini Village out of poverty. In the months that followed, she walked from mountain to mountain, visiting poor households. She then worked with villagers to develop local industries and connect their products to markets beyond the mountains. But in 2019, her life was cut short in a tragedy. She was 30 years old. That is the story of Huang Wenxiu, a young grassroots official who devoted her life to the fight against poverty. But her story did not end there. Today, her legacy lives on in Baini Village through the people she inspired and the work she helped set in motion. You're listening to Footprints. I'm Xingyu. In this episode, we revisit Huang Wenxiu's life and explore how the path she chose continues to shape the lives of others today. This March, Baini Village welcomed Wenxiu home. The newcomer was not a person, but a flower. A newly bred China rose developed by a research institute in Yunnan province. Last December, an online naming campaign was launched for the new variety. Creamy yellow in color, gentle in appearance, yet remarkably resilient. The rose reminded many people of Huang Wenxiu. Netizens from across the country suggested naming it Wenxiu in honor of her dedication and sacrifice. Earlier, Chen Hongren brought the seedlings to Baini Village. There could hardly be a better place for the rose to take root.
Next, we will not only grow the Wenxiu rose well, but also build a complete industrial chain around it, from cultivation and educational study tours to cultural and creative products.
For Chen, the rose represents more than a flower. It is a reminder of the person whose footsteps he is following. In his early 30s, Chen volunteered to become the first secretary of Baini Village last year, taking up the post once held by Huang. The two shared many things in common. Both were born in Baise. Both left home to pursue higher education, and both ultimately made the same decision to return.
在我大学刚毕业的时候，回到家乡其实是有落差感的。
Yet Chen admits that, at first, returning home wasn't quite what he had imagined. While many of his classmates were building careers in big cities, he found himself working in remote rural communities. Watching their lives unfold from afar, he sometimes doubted whether he had made the right choice.
但是也是在那个时候呢，就认识了文秀。
It was during that time that I met Wenxiu. I once asked her, our classmates are all living in big cities. We worked so hard to make it out of the mountains, and now we've come back. Do you really think it's worth it? She told me it was. At first, I couldn't understand why. It wasn't until I came to Baini Village and heard the stories villagers told about her that I truly understood what she meant.
According to Chen, back in the days, there was a giant chain bridge in the village that stretched across a rushing river, swaying with every step. Initially, Huang was afraid to cross it. Yet she had to traverse it hundreds of times to visit villagers living on the other side. One of the families she often visited had 3 children.
因为大山里上学的路太远太难，一度想放弃学业。
As the road to school was long and difficult, the family once considered giving up their children's education. But Wenxiu kept coming back. She told the children, "Only education can change your destiny. Only learning can help you make it out of the mountains." These words lit a spark in the children's hearts. Today, all 3 have gone to university. I think what Wenxiu brought to the people here was more than just a better life. She left them an uplifting spirit.
Growing up in a rural village, Huang understood better than most what education could mean. Born in 1989 into a modest family, she experienced poverty firsthand. Her parents struggled with poor health, and government subsidies supported her through school and university. In 2016, after earning a master's degree from Beijing Normal University, she returned to her hometown.
我觉得他是一个非常纯粹、非常乐观的人。
Chen says it was only after her passing that many of her colleagues learned how much she had overcome.
因为他的家其实是2016年才刚刚脱贫。
Her own family had just escaped poverty in 2016. Her father was battling liver cancer and had undergone 2 major operations. Her mother had a congenital heart condition. From our perspective, the best choice for her would have been to stay in Beijing and find a well-paid job.
找一份高薪的工作。
But Huang chose a different path. As she once put it, many people who leave the countryside never want to go back. But someone has to come back. And I am that someone. After returning to Baise, Huang worked at the local publicity department. Later, when the country called on officials to join the fight against poverty, she volunteered to serve in Baini Village. Yet the path she chose was far from easy. When she first arrived, many residents were skeptical. They wondered what this young woman who had never worked in a rural community before could possibly do for a village that has struggled with poverty for generations. Huang trekked along mountain paths, going from door to door. Some villagers refused to speak with her. Others would not even let her in. Still, she refused to give up. Instead, she looked for every opportunity to get closer to the people she served. She helped clean courtyards and sat down to chat with them in their homes. If they were out in the fields, she would join them, lending a hand wherever she could. She even learned the local dialect so she could communicate with residents more naturally. For the first 2 months, Huang visited all 195 registered poor households. She even drew a map, carefully noting down each family's name, location, and living conditions. Little by little, barriers began to come down. Through her persistence, sincerity, and hard work, she gradually earned the villagers' trust.
在我们日常生活中都感觉到文秀。
In our daily lives, we all felt that Wenxiu loved to smile. She was always optimistic, and she approached her work with tremendous passion.
他们对我的接纳程度很高。
Chen recalls that when he first arrived in Baini Village, he was warmly welcomed by the villagers. He believes this was possible because Huang and the officials who came after her had already laid a solid foundation. Through their work, they left behind an image of grassroots officials as people who were willing and able to get things done.
最大的变化，原来的百尼村交通闭塞。
Over the past years, Baini Village has undergone tremendous change. One of the most significant is transportation. It was also one of the issues that concerned Huang most during her time there. She understood that if Baini was to prosper, it first needed a way out of the mountains. Several hamlets were connected only by aging gravel roads that had been damaged by years of rain. During the wet season, some steep sections became nearly impassable. Working alongside local officials, Huang helped develop infrastructure plans, secure support from higher authorities, and coordinate funding for key projects. New roads were built and old ones improved. Street lights were installed and water storage ponds were constructed. Little by little, the foundations for change began to take shape. Today, a 22-kilometer concrete road connects communities that were once difficult to reach. Agricultural products are transported more efficiently, and villagers are able to travel more conveniently. What was once an isolated mountain village is now connected to the outside world. But roads alone were never enough. The key to increasing villagers' income was developing industries. Baini Village had been growing sugar tangerines for decades, but limited farming techniques and poor market access meant farmers earned little from their harvests. Huang connected villagers with agricultural experts, promoted standardized orchards, reached out to buyers in other provinces, and helped establish an e-commerce service station. Under her leadership, villagers expanded the cultivation of specialty crops, including sugar tangerines, star anise, loquats, and Chinese fir. In 2018 alone, sugar tangerine sales exceeded 20 metric tons, generating more than 220,000 yuan in revenue. Since then, the village has continued building on the foundation she helped create. After lifting itself out of poverty in 2020, Baini has embarked on the path of rural revitalization. When Chen Hongren began his work in the village, villagers came to him with one of the challenges they were facing.
刚到村里的时候，就有村民找上我说，家里的玉米销售困难。
Soon after I arrived in the village, some residents came to me and said they were struggling to sell their corn. Because Baini's climate is cooler than many other places, our corn ripens later in the season. By the time it reaches the market, corn from elsewhere is already widely available, making ours difficult to sell. I tasted the corn myself and found it incredibly sweet and delicious. That night, I reached out to supporting organizations and partner units and launched an online campaign to help sell it. To my surprise, within less than a day, we received orders for 2,000 kilograms of corn.
没想到呢，消息发出不到一天，就有4000斤的订单。
The response exceeded everyone's expectations. To meet the sudden influx of orders, Chen and his colleagues joined villagers in the fields to harvest the corn themselves.
我还记得当时呢，烈日当空，我们都干得汗流浃背。
I still remember the blazing sun overhead and how all of us were drenched in sweat. But when I saw the villagers chatting and laughing as they worked, I was reminded of Wenxiu. It felt as though her smile had become part of their lives. Her optimism and positive spirit had taken root among them.
已经感染给他们了。
The corn campaign solved an immediate problem, but for Chen, the bigger challenge was making sure villagers could continue solving such problems after he leaves. With the rise of livestream e-commerce, he began encouraging villagers to become livestream hosts and online sellers themselves.
如果我们去做这个主播，
If we become the livestream hosts ourselves, then after 2 years, when our task force leaves, the villagers could end up back where they started, unable to sell their products. That's why we're training local residents to do live streaming themselves and teaching them how to make full use of e-commerce.
For Chen, rural revitalization is not about solving a problem once. It is about giving local people the skills, confidence, and opportunities to keep solving problems long into the future.
我们希望呢，百尼村不只是一个地名，而是成为一种精神象征。
We hope Baini Village will become more than just a place name. We hope it can become a symbol of spirit, a desirable way of life, and a trusted agricultural brand. We've registered several local brands. Next, we plan to extend the industrial chain and expand e-commerce channels so that our products can reach wider markets.
It was the weekend. Huang Wenxiu had returned home to visit her father, who had just undergone surgery. On June the 16th, 2019, seeing that the weather was beginning to deteriorate, she grew concerned about possible flooding risks in Baini Village. Despite her father's attempts to persuade her to stay, she decided to set off back to the village that night. She drove through the heavy rain, but on the way, she was caught in a sudden flash flood. The news of her passing came as a shock to many.
At first, I couldn't believe it. Then it turned into grief because Wenxiu was not only a friend to me, but also a role model in my life.
The grief was deeply felt by the villagers in Baini as well. On July the 1st, Huang was posthumously awarded the title Role Model of the Times in recognition of her work.
When we brought the compensation to Wenxiu's father, he refused. He said, "My daughter is gone. Give it to those who need it more." Wenxiu once said, "The purpose of my education was not to escape my impoverished hometown, but to help my hometown escape poverty." That simple, genuine love for her hometown and her country, that was the greatest quality I saw in her.
Huang's life ended at the age of 30, but the seeds she planted did not stop growing. In September 2021, the village's first public kindergarten opened. It was one of the dreams Huang once held most dearly. It now serves children from Baini and nearby communities, making access to education easier for local families. Chen is glad to see more young people returning home after graduation, choosing to devote themselves to rural revitalization, much as Huang once did.
Wenxiu had a profound influence on them. They want to come to Baini Village and carry on her work in rural revitalization. They are full of energy, ideas, and creativity.
Having spent more than a year in Baini Village, Chen says he has come to understand what Huang once wrote in her diary. Only by rooting yourself in the soil can you truly understand the people. The village has also changed its perception about time. In the city, progress is often measured in days, weeks, or months, but in the countryside, meaningful change often takes years, even decades. Roads take years to build, industries take years to cultivate, and life takes years to gradually improve. But those are precisely the things that endure.
The value of our lives does not have to be measured by skyscrapers, promotions, or higher salaries. Changing our hometown through our own efforts, that is also a meaningful way to realize our value.
Not every effort brings immediate results. Not every path shows progress right away. But some things, once started, continue to grow on their own. And here in Baini Village, that story is still unfolding. With that, we come to the end of this episode of Footprints. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to hear more fascinating life stories, visit radio.cgtn.com or find us on major podcast platforms. Just search for Footprints and you can listen anytime, anywhere. I'm Xingyu. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Disclaimer: this episode contains AI-generated voice content.